If you followed our knockout series in the last two videos, we bring you the third part and take you inside the Bellator cage. Bellator was bought by the PFL last year, which promises us interesting matchups in 2024. But before we step into the new age of promotion, let's see who celebrated with an attractive knockout in 2023. Number 10. Chris Gonzalez KOs Max Roskoff. The Bellator 290 was the first event last year, and its preliminary card also features the first knockout of the year. Max Roskoff arrives to make his Bellator debut, but his opponent, Christopher Gonzalez, who has been fighting under the promotion's lights for 3 years, is here to ruin it. The lightweight fighters spent the entire first round trying to catch each other by shortening the distance, working slowly and without much pressure. Gonzalez worked with a smile as if he knew the end was near, and it's always nice to see a fighter enjoying his work. Max took some time to show his wrestling skills, but after a second of inattention in close contact, Christopher threw a precise right hook. The blow lands on the opponent's forehead, and Roskoff disconnects. The Californian fighter ends his attack with a couple of punches to finish his shaken opponent and opens the year of Bellator events with a knockout. Number 9. Larin KOs Muhammad Burkov. At the same event, the last preliminary fight prepared us for the main show of the evening with a superb knockout. The undefeated Muhammad Burkov and the experienced Larkin meet for the second time in the cage after a no contest in 2022 due to an illegal elbow. They were not even aware that the elbow would decide this fight as well. After they threw punches for a minute and a half, the first hug took place, and submission master Burkov surely aimed to take his opponent to the ground. Larkin made sure that didn't happen and found enough space in the clinch to clip Muhammad with an unexpected elbow, causing him to crash headfirst to the canvas, leaving him motionless. The only thing more impressive than a knockout is the fact that someone finally broke the undefeated record of one of the fighters from Russia, because we don't see that every day. Number 8. Chelli KOs Sabah Hamasi. We named the next fight How to Be a Candidate for the Knockout of the Year by Chelli. The Georgian fighter came to Bellator 299 for another first-round knockout, and opposite him in the cage was the sport veteran Sabah Hamasi, intending to return his career to winning column. With both prone to knockouts in the early rounds, they started very cautiously, but dropped bombs whenever they found themselves close. Remember how Michael Chandler suddenly shut down Ferguson with a front kick? Well, this match is no different. Levin threw a vicious front kick out of nowhere, and without any additional punches, Hamasi was done and done. Another first-round finish for the Georgian, who is now on a 3-fight winning streak in welterweight, and he managed to do it quickly and efficiently. Levin denied us a potentially good fight, but made up for it with a perfectly placed kick. Number 7. Vladimir Tokov KOs Gibson Jr. Bellator 293 was flooded with knockout and submission finishes, and another short fight caught our attention. Two young lightweight fighters, Vladimir Vova Tokov and undefeated Gibson Jr., squared off in front of the Temecula City crowd. Tokov is a member of Fedor's fighting team who came to break Lance's 7-fight winning streak, and he did it in style. Gibson, a martial artist since the age of 2, started the fight by stinging from the distance, making it impossible for the Russian to get close and take him down, proving to be a physically stronger fighter. But this time his strength did not help him. Vladimir realized that he would not be able to take down his opponent easily, so he decided on a simpler route. Gibson threw another one of his powered kicks, and Tokov took advantage of the attack and jabbed him straight to the chin, giving him his first loss in his career. Number 6. Mike Hamill KOs Nick Brown. We told you that Bellator 293 boasts quality finishes. Mike Hamill made sure his name was heard at this event, and his opponent that night was Nick Brown. After the glove touch, the boys immediately greeted each other with heavy hooks, and looking at the active moments of the fighters at the start, it seemed as if we were going to watch an interesting technical fight. But unfortunately, that did not happen. Hamill made an early read, and it took him 30 seconds to take advantage of Nick's level change, low stance, and lowered right hand. Before you know it, boom! A loud high kick straight to the chin. Brown was not unconscious, but far from giving up, so he tried to survive with a takedown attempt. But Mike countered with a great sprawl and finished off his opponent with a siege of strikes to cement his victory. Another knockout that didn't allow us to hear the bell at the end of the first round. Number 5. Masayuki Kakuri KOs Alexei Shurkovich. The Bellator 295 event that brought the Hawaii crowd to its feet began and ended with a knockout. And if you're lucky, we put both on the list. The guys who were responsible for the first one were Masayuki Kakuri and Alexei Shurkovich. And finally, in a fight that lasted longer than 1 round. The fight was excellent, with many clean shots and brave exchanges from both guys. Alexei immediately took the initiative, slowly pressed the opponent, and had more success in the boxing game, especially with his straight shots. Masayuki, on the other hand, was more active with kicks, and just when it seemed that there was no answer to the handiwork of the Russian, Kakuri cut off one of his opponent's attacks and sent him to the floor but failed to finish. The second round did not bring any changes, but the excitement was still there. Alexei showed beautiful head movements, and Masayuki had a hard time finding him. However, the Russian later relaxed too much in this regard, and after many missed shots, the Japanese finally hit the target with the cross that drove Alexei unconscious into the fence. Respect to Masayuki, who was outstruck in his debut and still found a way to knock out the more experienced and skilled Shurkovich. Number 4. Patchy Mix KOs Ralphion Stots. Kakuri opened the event with a knockout, and Patchy Mix ended it in the same way, but much more attractively. The main fight of the event was decorated by the finals of the Bantamweight Grand Prix tournament and the championship title in the game. The other fighter in the cage was Ralphion Stots, who was on a crazy 11-fight winning streak, undefeated for 5 years. The guys had a combined record of 36 wins and 2 losses, and this fight was a great way to show who is the bantamweight king in Bellator. It was obvious they both meant business, as every punch thrown had a loud sound effect. But the scrap lasted 80 seconds. Patchy quickly found room for a rear knee that connected with Stots' chin and froze him in place to end the long-awaited matchup. Patchy Mix stunned the MMA world again, and he did it effortlessly. Number 3. Thibault Guti KOs Kane Musa. Now you will see how Kane Musa went from the nickname Danger to In Danger. His opponent from France, Thibault Guti, at Bellator 296 helped him rename it. Musa, known for relying on his hands, immediately imposed pressure, but Guti managed to shake him and sit him down early in the fight. The Englishman recovered quickly, and Thibault gained a dose of self-confidence with his knockdown and found his success from counter shots. Musa reveled in the pressure, keeping Guti on the back foot for a good portion of the first round, and continued to show his relentlessness in the second. Fortunately, Thibault was patient and intelligent enough to use his opponent's pressure against him. Consequently, after constant pressure from Kane, a minute before the end of the second, Guti found a hole in the offense and counterpunched him with a heavy right hook, clipping the chin and knocking him out cold. That night, patience and intelligence won over aggressiveness and pressure. Number 2. Marcelo Alves de Silva KOs Jarrell Hodge. Bellator 298, held in South Dakota, did an amazing job pairing 2 young talents in a preliminary bantamweight fight. Marcelo Alves de Silva, a Brazilian fighter with 10 knockouts out of 12 wins, faced Jarrell Hodge, an American on a 5-fight winning streak, and both fighters came to make their Bellator debut. Right away we could see the fierce blows of the newcomers, who did not spare their strength. They fought explosively and lightning fast in bantamweight style. Watching the first round, no one could have guessed that these 2 guys were in the Bellator cage for the first time, because they did their job in the most professional and attractive way. But due to vicious attacks, the audience could not enjoy it for long, and it was a matter of time whose head would fall first. Alves de Silva, who had a striking advantage, throws a great combination with 2 ruthless hooks, and the second one hits the target perfectly. Jarrell collapsed to the floor, and Silva came in with a couple of hammer fists to make sure Hodge didn't get up again, spoiling Jarrell's debut and winning his own. Number 1. Lucas Brennan KOs Weber Almeida. Lucas Brennan is a serious problem in the featherweight division. The young prospect is counting 8 victories, where he only once went to decision. But the task he had that night was not all that easy. His opponent was Weber Almeida from Brazil, who had 6 KOs out of 7 wins, mostly in the first rounds. Almeida showed devastating power in his fists, and Lucas looked for ways to drown his opponent on the ground. Statistically speaking, an early break was expected, but the boys deceived everyone present and took the fight almost to the end. Consequently, this matchup of striker versus grappler provided the longest fight on this list, and each of them sought to end the match where they were best. But here comes what we least expected. After exciting and competitive rounds, 30 seconds before the end, Lucas comes to an unexpected finish, but not by submission. After many of Brennan's attempts to take his opponent down, the Brazilian completely forgot about the possible danger from the clinch that did not include a takedown. Instead, after 1 second of inattention, Lucas throws a knee, knocks Weber out of consciousness, and records his 9th win in a row and only his 3rd knockout. We have reached the end, but do not despair because our 2023 knockout serial is not over. Try to guess which promotion is our next destination, and feel free to leave suggestions. You too can become a master of finishes if you knock out the subscribe button and turn on notifications to stay up to date with MMA Corner TV.